Ooh, okay, it's going. Hello and welcome to In the Pocket, the bass guitar podcast where we get the lowdown on the low end. My name's Jonny, a totally average bass player, and each week I'm joined by a different co-host to talk all about that bass. This week I'm very lucky to be joined by session and YouTube bass player, the man himself, Alan Brown, aka Bully the Kid.
Hey man, what's going on?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I dropped out frantically and I had to try to drop back in before you get that with the video. So
I paused for a second and I was like, I'll keep going. I'll just do my bit and then I'll be back. Sure. But yeah, man. How are things over there in the States?
They're going okay. I mean, the world's opening up a little bit, so there's more opportunities to play and stuff. And weather's hot, but comes with the territory. Everything's been pretty good.
Good. Yeah, it's been hot. I mean, classic Britain. Like last week, it was scorching for us, and then now it's like it's chucking it down, absolutely chucking it down. So loads of rain, but that's fine. Lots of rainbows, which is great. Have you been playing many gigs then? Now things are opening up.
Not really. I just kind of go visit some of my childhood churches that I used to play at whenever I was actually learning back in high school and stuff. And I've just kind of been enjoying not having the responsibility of having to play certain gigs. Because up in Tulsa, I moved to Houston. In Tulsa, I had like every Sunday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, my time was required. So I couldn't just have fun with it. It became a job, kind of.
Yeah.
So now I'm just kind of enjoying taking a little break from getting out there, being around people. So
that's great, man. It's good that positives have come out of all of this. It's good to hear. Are you like a full-time bass player then?
No, I'm an engineer. I'm an electrical engineer, and I kind of do this as a hobby. I guess it started as a very small collection, and now I have way more than I needed. And
if anyone out there has watched any of Bully's videos, you'll know what he's talking about. Seeing that beautiful wall that makes everyone envious.
Hey man, look, man, you doing the same thing over there. I'm watching you.
I got a small collection. Yeah, next year maybe. Next year, every week, I like to ask our co-host just 3 questions to get us going before we kick things off, so they can get to know you. So, first off, question is: can you choose 3 words to describe your bass playing?
Funky, percussive, happy.
Yes, I love that. Do you know what? I was the first one on the tip of my tongue was like, it's going to be funky. It's going to be funky. Our boy loves some funk. That's awesome. Oh, happy. That's an amazing. Why happy? I love that.
Well, I kind of feel like if you watch my videos, I'm usually having a wonderful time. Just me being around people that watch me play and I get visual feedback from them being in the audience, it's kind of hard to not smile. If you see me up there being hella goofy and I'm large and stuff, it's kind of hard not to smile and move, So I guess I would call my bass playing happy, because I'm not, it's a good time.
That's the way it should be. It's always got to be a good time. And if you're not smiling on stage, what are you doing?
I mean,
unless you want to invoke fear in the audience.
But it's hard to say lyrics from, I don't know, Ghost, and then just be smiling on stage. Imagine Rammstein doing Du Hast, just bouncing around.
Hey, there's a song that you should funk up.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
There we go. I love that. And percussive as well. I mean, you're an incredible drummer as well as a bass player. So I guess that kind of lends in from that as well. I consider myself quite percussive as well in like the
Ghost
I don't
notes
know,
and
just
stuff.
the way. Yeah. I think that's what makes you know, a lot of bass parts interesting, and really makes it stand out from, you know, from guitar lines and things like that.
You can definitely lock a groove in faster with doing percussive measures in bass solo, even if you're only playing one note, you know.
Yeah.
So I've seen grooves lock and they were just holding a G, but everything else he was doing, I was like, all right, you got me.
That's what I love about bass sometimes, is that it doesn't always need to be complicated to be so effective and so interesting. If you've got the right beat and it just fits with it, just grooves with it, then it can be big
Yeah.
old chef's kiss. Amazing. So the next question that I ask each week is, now this is going to be a hard one for you, I think. Oh, although I don't know. I think I might know the answer, but
Okay.
with your big wall of bases, one would think it would be hard. So this question is, what is your number one bass? What is the one you consider to be number one?
The go-to. Okay. Yeah. So I have a signature model from a company that was out of Tulsa, that is out of Tulsa. And it's basically a P Music Man with a 3-way switch that does single, split coil, and series biasing on the Music Man pickup. And yeah, that's my go-to. Was the first BTK5 I ever got. And if I didn't have those two, the second iteration is a lot more crazy. 3P pickups is a lot more crazy. But
yeah.
if I didn't have that, my next go-to would probably be my Fender American Pro Jazz, and I happen to have it. So it's solid, ain't too flashy, gives me exactly what I need. Put a fresh set of strings on it. It's a slapper's holiday.
Absolute beauty.
Yeah.
So do you consider yourself more, well, I mean, you've kind of got everything there. You've got triple P, a P and a humbucker, and then a jazz bass is like
Yeah.
your
And
mains
then
there.
they can't see it, but right there, this little blue one right here, that's my P bass, 5-string. So that just with those basses, I've run the whole gambit of situations I can meet.
Absolutely. Well, each one of those like just slots so well into every genre. I think, you know, they're so diverse.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I thought you might say one of your signatures as your main one, because they look incredible.
Thank you.
Big fan. So the last question, these are meant to be quick fire, but they're never quick fire. But that's great. This last question then says, why did you pick up the bass?
I picked up a bass so I could teach my cousins how to play the drums. Like, it was kind of like they wanted to learn, and I got tired of sitting there. I was already interested in guitar, but my fingers are too big, so I went to bass.
That is a
quick and dirty. I didn't want to play guitar. That's not my thing. I chose bass. It wasn't because I was trying to get in a band and they already had a guitar player. No, I wanted to be a bass player.
Yes, right. Yes, that's the way I wish I was. That's awesome. I love that you're like, oh, I can't just show you. Right, just jam along with me. Just jam along.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's really cool. I like that. What's it you said? Quick and dirty.
Hey, man.
That should be on your like YouTube bio. You know, poor little kid,
bass player, quick and dirty.
Cool. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Now let's go into the first question.
All right.
Okay, so question 1 comes from Garrick Hetherington on YouTube, and it says, "What bass do you dream about, and what bass gives you nightmares?" I loved this question. I thought it was really good. Let's start with basses we dream about. Now, I keep going back to that wall of yours, but I mean, you've got a lot of basses on there. You've probably got the one you're dreaming about. You're probably looking at as you go to bed.
I wish that was the case. It's kind of one of those. It's my Moby Dick bass. Like I know it's bad for me, but I want it, and it's completely unusable. But I just really want it, right? And it's Bootsy Collins Star Space Bass, the one that lights up with all the pickups and all that crazy stuff. That's what inspired my gold bass. If I had it, I would never play it, but I turn it on and take a lot of pictures with it. That's pretty much what would happen. And I know I don't need it. That's why I don't own it.
That's got to be the one though. Like, it must be super comfy to play, right?
Oh, man, it's the shape of a star. I know it's hell to play. You can't play it sitting down. I know that.
That's for sure.
I get it.
I like to like spin around quite a lot on stage. Normally, I'd have someone's eye out if I heard that.
Yeah, there's a star on the headstock too.
I was like, oh, is this the one I'm thinking of? And I'm just looking at a picture of it now, and I'm like, oh my god, yes. I could. To be fair, I could totally see you pulling that off, mate.
Hey, man, I'd have to change the whole thing. I'd have to have the glasses, a top hat for some reason. I don't know. I just felt like it'd be necessary.
Oh my god, I've just seen one here with like 5 jazz bass pickups in it.
Yeah, and then look at the switching, and it has MIDI out. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, dude.
Oh my god, I thought the Sire I had a lot of knobs on it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I suppose for me, mine's a lot more subtle.
Okay.
the one that I'm dreaming about. I always end up. I mean, I'm kind of torn between two. I would absolutely love some kind of old Gibson grabber. I think they're massive, they're weighty, they're not ergonomic.
Yeah, they got I think if I'm not mistaken, it's got a bigger body and small horns. Is that the shape? That's the grabber shape, right?
That's the one.
I can see it. I think Rumbling Man has one.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And his is like proper 70s one, I think. And very jealous. Like, I would love one of those. I don't even like. It's one of those basses that you just know it's gonna sound so good played hard with a bit of overdrive on it, and like just gonna soak it up. And yeah, for me, that is ticks all the boxes. And one of my favorite bass players used to rock one on stage quite a lot, so that's where kind of that came from.
Who was that?
So I'm definitely not a classic bass player. Like, I don't have many inspirations of like classic bass players, I'd say. So it's just like the bands that I like. So it was Jeremy Davis from the band Paramore. They're my, not even a guilty pleasure, straight up my favorite band. And like, he used to play one on stage, and damn, so cool. And we'll leave it there. The second, I think the other one I was tossing up between. I don't know if you've played one before. I know. Low End Lobster had one. It's a Music Man Sabre.
Oh, Low End has 2 now.
2?
Yeah.
Well, I have 0, so the math adds up there. Really, I'll have one.
Listen, I tried to get my hands on one. They are exponentially priced.
Yeah, they are. They really are. So I've got loads of things saved on my eBay search, and Music Man Sabre is one of them. And they never come up. And when they do, it's like a sabered neck for £1,000. And I'm like,
pretty
what?
Much. Where's the rest of it? Like, I went and looked up one on Reverb somewhere from some mom and pop shop. And they had it in the case and it was in the back and they forgot about it, and then they just pulled it out and took a picture of it because it was like one of those dusty on the inside of the case type bases. I was like, how do you get dust on the clothes? Okay.
They've just been open the whole time.
Yeah, they just had to sit back there. But yeah, it was about 29, 28, something like that used. I was like, wow. USD, $2,800.
That's quite expensive taste, both of those basses that are like dreams. That's why they're dreams for me, because I probably could never see myself buying one because I'm a bit of a cheapskate.
Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. But you look at me and you're like, but you have all of these things here. You can't possibly be cheap. People send stuff to me. My wife buys me basses. I live an okay life. I know.
that sounds like you're living the dream, mate. Oh yeah, so they're the dream ones, I think. Nightmare bases. Now,
Uh,
I think that star base is a nightmare one. Nightmare one for me.
I'm gonna say this. This may ruffle some feathers. Steinberger. I
Ooh,
don't. I can't.
do you mean like the headless one?
Yeah, man. I
It's the
can't.
little, it's the ones with like the little square bodies.
Yeah, it's.
That
I listen, man. I've played one a few times, and even with the little leg kickstand thing
mm,
situation, nah, man. I They tried to make a five. They made a 5 string, and I was like, still no, no.
you're like, it's not
my
for
body,
me.
my body's too big.
Look like you're playing like a little U bass or
Yeah,
something.
I got a 2x4 strapped across my chest. That's basically what it looks like.
Yeah, they're definitely not for me. And I'm not opposed to a headless bass. Like I like headless basses, but
Yeah, if you
it's
do
the
look
body part.
into it, low end has a Ibanez EHB 1005 headless. It's the
Yeah,
seafoam green one that he has rolling in the his credits whenever he starts his videos. I got to play
yeah.
it, and it's a multi scale, and it feels good. Like he changed out
Yeah.
the electronics. He did a great job.
So that those things are all like that's actually what kind of turned me on to headless bases a bit, because I'd never been a huge fan normally, but
Mm, I
those
wasn't either.
I was like, whoa, hello.
Yeah.
And like I like Ibanez. I feel like I've sat on them for a long time though, because I've never been like blown away by any of their sounds. But then I feel like Ibanez is quite like a flat palette, but a
Mm,
solid palette that you can then build your tone around.
mm,
That's always been my like 2 cents about Ibanez for me. I've
yeah.
got an Ibanez right now actually. It's behind me.
Yeah,
But
my first bass I ever owned, which is that one. They can't see, but it's this black one right here. There's an Ibanez Road Star 2.
is that one of the is it a P bass one?
Yes. Yeah, I think it my bass was made in 82. So it's got like an old vibe. I tried to swap out the electronics and swap pickups to try to make it sound more modern, and it just fights against it. So I just put the stock stuff back in it, and it has a thing. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It has a
Yeah. Is
thing.
it they're quite heavy as well, those, aren't
It's actually fairly balanced, and considering that I've abused it and pieces of it are missing, it's even more so.
they? That's why it's lighter now.
Yeah, it's listen pretty well balanced now that I've chipped off half the horns and such.
That's what you got to do. That's you got a neck heavy bass. You know
I
what you got to do.
You know, I call it relicking. Some people say abuse. Whatever.
Now this is controversial. If you had asked me, although not really, if you'd asked me like 2 years ago what mine would have been, I would have said a Rickenbacker.
But you're a rock dude. Hold on.
I know, but I know. Now I used to just like not like the way they looked. I didn't like the like horns on them, and I was never like impressed by the sound. Commenters, stop your furious typing. I've changed my ways.
Jeez, dude.
I've changed. Honest. I admit I've changed my ways.
I'm sitting here. I couldn't appreciate the bass. I've always loved the design. That's just a personal thing.
Yeah,
But I couldn't appreciate the bass because I've never heard really slapping on it other than maybe Rick James,
sure.
right? And slap is kind of my go-to. That's my happy place. So if I have a bass, whether it be a Beatle bass, a Hofner, Steinberger, whatever, if you got strings, I slap the guitar. I respect nothing.
This guy's such a bloody slapper.
Hey, man, don't put it in front of me if you don't want to get it slapped. I had it like plugged into two different amps, like one for lows and one for highs, and I just stood in between them. Dude,
That sounds like a happy place.
oh yeah. Then I turned it out because it was just like bass on this side and then highs on this side. It was too much. So I just turned it bass and
Now
forth.
one ear is destroyed.
Yeah, and then the other one can't hear normal vocal tone. Yeah, pretty much.
like I said, that was a couple of years ago. Now I really like him. Really like him.
So where are you now with your Nightmare?
Now Nightmare is it's going to be like BC Rich territory. That just does not.
Okay.
Just doesn't do it for me at all.
You seem to like smooth, simple lines, and BC Rich is all about cutting lines and weird shapes and stuff. So I get that. I get that.
Yeah, that's I could never see, even if they're like, well, no, if hey BC Rich, if you were like, hey, do you want to try out this Warlock bass? I'd be like, yeah, I'll try it out. Why not? They were like, hey, do you want to buy it? I'd be like, no, even if it was the best sounding bass in the world, no, thank you.
I used to feel that way for that same reason. I felt that way about Dean. Yeah, Dean they do weird designs and colors and stuff like that too. So
I remember when I was looking for my second ever bass, I nearly got a Dean, and it was all pink, like it's a super like P bass, but it's all pink. Fretboard's pink, neck is pink.
I wanted the green version.
Oh yeah, of course they did the lime green one. Oh my god, yeah. Let's get them. Right.
Yeah, man,
commit now. Let's go and buy them.
That's where I'm at.
It's like I've run out of other bases to try. This I've got to go. So I hope that's covered that. Of course, that we might revisit that question one day, because that I feel like that is always changing, like it has for me over the past couple of years. So let's move on to the next segment. Okay, so now we're on to the news. Now, this week's news has been a heavy one and a light one at the same time, I'd say, because for those who don't know, it has been Summer NAMM. You get Winter NAMM in January, you get Summer NAMM in, well, the summer. Basically, this is where all of our manufacturers come together in one place to show off what they're doing, all their new stuff. This is when not all of the new gear normally launches, and there is so much YouTube content for us to devour during these times. I've never been to one of these NAMMs because they are always in America. However, our co-host today, Bully the Kid, was at this year's Summer NAMM. So before we talk about some of the things that you might have seen, or some of the things that have come out this week along with NAMM, how did you find it?
So coming through, the pandemic and all that stuff, I kind of expected for the vendors to not be in full supply. And Summer NAMM, it was kind of light on the bass guitar selection. There were some cool stuff. Reverence pulled up and had a great large booth display. There were a few ding walls in some of the custom displays that were there. Got to put my hands on a Yamaha, a nice Yamaha, actually. I think one of the upper echelon Yamahas. I got to play that through one of Ampeg's, was it Thakidd bass? Bass cabinets, one of the light bass cabinets that are coming out. Sounded really good. And aside from that, random guitar people, like pedals and stuff. Yeah, it was a good time. It just wasn't very much bass representation. Guitars were in full effect though, so it's happy days for them.
Yeah. As always, that's always getting left behind in the dust. God damn it!
Oh,
yeah. But it looks like if people listening haven't already, go and check out all of Bully's content on NAMM's great live stream on there, where you guys are all talking about what you saw, what you liked, and just having general great times.
Yeah.
So go and check all that stuff out. A bit of a shame that it was a bit light on the bass stuff, but I kind of thought that it might be. I thought more people would be like releasing their own stuff online, because they weren't there at the show. And, some companies have. I've got some of those down here. So you said about Reverence. Reverence is such a cool company, I think.
Yeah.
They're kind of mid-price point normally. Because how much are they retailing for, like the kind of lower range stuff, Reverence?
I would say, they probably come in pretty competitive with Squire. So like the 230s, 240s, but they get pricey as well, with anything going in, quality range, quote unquote. So I've seen Reverence new for, $250 to $299 in there around the Squire range for 4 string. But let's talk about this. Reverend has I forget what the name of the actual model is, but I'll tell you what the orientation is. So there's a Music Man pickup in the neck position, like very close to the neck. And then there's a P pickup in the bridge position.
In the
Weird.
bridge position?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, I know you're a fan of a PH, but that being in one of your signatures.
Yeah.
But a HP, I guess, HP source.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of doing that, but there's nothing wrong with it, because if you think about it, you can run them both separately. You have two basses in one hand. You know, you get kind of a P type deal with the Music Man pickup, and you have the ability to single coil out of it, which brings in jazz P rather than PJ, which is different.
Different is the word. And obviously you get a lot of those is it the dirty finger pickups that you get sometimes? Oh, I can't remember the name of them. Oh, what are they called? There's often the pickup that's like a big old wide open humbucker that people always install.
Lace. Oh, it's wide open humbucker?
Yeah, it looks like it. It's not like a ceramic looking like Music Man one.
Okay.
They might be called
Are the
something.
whole pieces exposed?
Yeah, they're exposed.
So you got Seymour Duncan's, you got Aguilar that has something like that. You have Delano that has stuff like that. EMG is usually covered, like a covered humbucker.
Yeah. I think it's like a certain type of pickup though that looks like very unique. I'm trying. People in the comments will probably tell me, and I'd love to know, because that seems to be a really popular pickup to be having, like, as a neck position. So it's not like out of this world, but it's still super interesting for them to do that. How did it sound?
It sounded phenomenal. The neck felt great. Low and Lobster really loved it. He actually got to play it on one of his prior videos from the the NAMM wrap up. So he actually played it. So there's a clip of that, and it sounded good. I didn't personally get to put my hands on it and throw it through the gauntlet, but I did pick it up really quickly and then kind of put it down, because they had a whole turnstile of guitars I had to touch.
Just go around touching them all. I want this one. I want this one.
Yeah.
Like, please, COVID, don't touch anything.
Oh, no. You brought it here. You know why I'm here.
Like, oh God, day 2, here he comes again. His hands out.
I got my hand sanitizer. I'm getting ready as soon as I'm walking up. Oh, yeah.
Security, we've got somebody who's just coming around slapping everything.
You can't stop it. You can't stop it.
Love it. So that's cool. Something else that I saw that looked really cool. I mean, sorry everyone, not necessarily bass related, but hopefully it will be in the future, is those guitars with all like the rotating pickups.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a video that's going to be coming out on, what's today? Wednesday? Tomorrow. I have it scheduled. And it's going to be kind of going through that person demoing those guitars specifically, and is going to be talking about it. So, yes. So basically, it's 3 pickups and kind of a Lazy Susan type deal. That's the best way to put it.
That is the way to describe it. Everyone knows what you mean now.
Yeah. So it's 3 pickups, and it's they're back to back to back in a circle. So Lazy Susan, but there's 2 rows of them. So like in the neck position and in the bridge position, you have the ability to go P90 or humbucker or do all the splits and all that good stuff. Plus, it's in like a Strat style, so you can still do all the Strat biasing stuff, and you can swap out which pickups you want to go in there. So it's crazy. That particular guitar, the guy said, came with 10 pickups that you can swap in and swap out just out the gate. And then, it's one guitar and you can literally go through and mix match. I want humbucker in the back and I want a P90 in the front, or I want a P90 in the back and a humbucker in the front, whatever. Split coil, who cares?
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, man.
Like, sounds like the dream, because I've got one guitar that I, got all these basses, but I always just have one guitar that I record with.
Mm-hmm.
And I try and get something that's kind of going to fit everything. So that sounds like my dream.
Yeah. It's also going to hit your pockets fairly hard as well, too. So,
oh God! Well, how much was it?
Dreams are expensive. I think this particular one was close to either. It was in the range of 16 to 20,000.
What?
Yeah, but think about it. Think about how many guitars you're getting at one time.
Well, yeah, I suppose that is very true.
Also, how you access, because these are all active guitars. So how you access the battery is through like a neodymium magnet, and the back pops off the whole thing, and that's how you take the pickups out. Yeah, check my video. It's going to be dropping. Today is the 28th. Video will be out on the 29th. And I'm not talking. The guy is talking, and he's demonstrating this whole thing because I didn't want to touch it because I don't have that much money. So
yeah, right. You can't slap that.
No, I didn't. I wanted to. I thought about it.
Well, I hope that they bring something like that to bass. I can't see it happening anytime soon, but I reckon eventually we'll get there.
Well, really so my thought on how to make that actually happen is you'd have to put it on some type of rail system so you can slide them up and slide them back for positioning. So you using a turnstile, I don't know if that'll work. And also, what do you
be a not so lazy Susan?
Like, it's probably going to be 2, maybe 3 Music Man on one. That's going to be big too. Like, Music Man, it turns over to a jazz, it turns over to a P.
That thing's going to be heavy as well.
That's huge. Just think of the depth so it can spin. Think of the depth. Because you know how thick a Music Man pickup is, and you got to turn it? Oh, man.
Well, come on, mate. You're the electrical engineer, right?
Yeah, that's a mechanical thing, so.
Get on it. I don't care. I want it. Awesome. So let's quickly go through a couple of other things then that have come out this week. I don't know if they're necessarily at NAMM, but they kind of come out at the same time. I see Orange have brought out, as well as Ampeg bringing out some new amps. Orange have also brought out a new combo, which is the Glenn Hughes signature combo from Deep Purple. I don't think I've ever seen a signature combo for a bass player.
Yeah, a signature combo from a bass player?
Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus Miller has one with Mark Bass.
Doy. Of course he does. Oh, hang on. Yes, I do. And Doug Pinnick's got one with Tech 21.
There's that. Jackson. Randy Jackson, also Mark Bass. I don't think it's a combo. That's not a combo, though. So I take that back.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, the one I said's a head as well. But still.
But Marcus Miller, I know for sure, has a 210 combo from Mark Bass.
I recall now. I can see it in my head now. Like, oh yeah, of course, silly old John.
But yeah, also it's very far and in between that a bass player gets a combo signature.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely like the kind of gigs that I play. Normally the backline is supplied, so the headline in bands. I only play like originals stuff on stage. Well, I mean, at the minute. It's always the headlining band provides all the cabs, and then you just bring your heads and bring your pedal boards, and your bass, of course. So that's the kind of rig that I'm always going around with. So cabs for me are it's only for practice normally, or if I'm doing a headline show and I've got to supply it. So my experience with combos, I haven't used a combo since like the second year that I was playing bass, I don't think, because since then I've always been gigging and always just needed head and cab to have the head part.
So let's go there. What do you use what's your main bass head right now?
So me being a cheapskate, but liking quality, I've got a full Fender Rumble rig.
Hey, yeah, that's my go-to.
Yeah, because you've got the 800 HD combo.
And that's a combo. Yep.
Yeah, that one's is that modeler one? It's got a couple of different things in there.
It has 100 different presets on it. So like, you know how you got your pedal board?
Uh-huh.
I can create a pedal board through a signal chain and trigger it with a foot pedal. So
Yeah.
I can create a whole preset. I can take, I want it to sound like it's in this arena. I also want octave to be on it. I want envelope filter. And why not throw some fuzz on the end? Cool. Then put it in a big arena, and that's pedal number one. Cool. Number two, I wanted a small arena. And that's the voicing that it pushes out of the speakers, 210s. So yeah.
That's so cool. Like Fender doing that kind of stuff as well is awesome, I think.
Now the cool stuff is you connect your phone to the amp, and you can do all your manipulations on the phone on the fly. So you got a little break in between the gig. I like this. Let me go ahead and put this envelope filter in front. Engage, and then sit the phone down. All of a sudden, it just got stanky in there.
See, nowadays, like you're going to be on a break on stage, and the sound guy's going to be looking at you like he's on his phone. What's he doing?
What are you
doing?
No,
he's turning the volume up. He can't trust anyone.
It looks devious. I don't like that. Go get him. Go get him. And I'm just smiling, sitting in the back.
I really like that. That's awesome because you're not much of a pedal, physical pedal guy, are you?
Nah, not really. I got big feet. I'll break
it. Well, they're called stomp boxes. But you're not meant to stomp on them.
I mean, don't tell me. I don't understand how these things work.
Yeah, so mine's all just a Fender Rumble, like the old series, just the 500. So no fancy stuff, just all solid state.
Yeah, but you get the bright, the contour, and vintage, and overdrive.
Yep,
I had that. Good. I loved it.
It's so good, and it's good. It's lightweight, and because I wanted to go like the full tube bassman, because I really got into that sound, like a P bass through that. I was like, oh yes, but I can't. I don't gig enough for valves. I don't want to have the upkeep of it. I quite like, I don't know. I was just like, I just can't really be, and it's expensive. I was like, I'll just get the Rumble and see where that goes. And I've got no complaints at all.
Yeah, I got, if I need that valve sound, I just dial it in. I don't.
Yeah.
Because it has the bassman as a preset. So I'm like, let's just not pay $1,800 for a big freaking toolbox of a bass head.
Yeah, right. That you're going to be like, don't touch it. It's delicate.
Pretty much, man. Because you're just shaking it around, get those valves and tubes loose.
Exactly. Yeah, I had an orange bass terror, and the just one of the valves went on that, and it's gone. Dead. And I was like, oh, great. Like, and that's what kind of put me off. And that wasn't even full valve. That was a Class D amp. So that kind of thing. I hate that anxiety that heck, it's going to go wrong. Then what? So yeah, I like to keep it fairly simple. I say minimal, but like something that I know is not going to let me down, and hasn't let me down so far.
Cool.
So the last bit I've got written down here about the news that I wanted to talk about is Gibson reverse Thunderbirds that they've come out with. I saw these were announced in January. Sure. I assume at the other NAMM, but now they've just launched them. And they've come in 3 colors. They've got like a wine red looking one, and then 2 very similar bluey greens. Have you seen any of these at all? Reverse.
I haven't seen one in person. Seen them in the magazines or on Instagrams, but they weren't there at the convention. I know that for sure. I'm definitely slapping that.
He's slapping that so hard.
I'll happily slap that for you, sir.
Yeah. Excuse me, sir. Would you like that slapped? Of course. Thank you. These reverse Thunderbirds are cool. I think they're pretty reasonably priced as well. I think I'm just going to look it up quickly just to double check how much they are. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're not too badly priced. In the UK, they're £1,550, which.
Oh, it's Gibson, not Epiphone.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No. Yeah. Honestly, I think these kind of look cooler than. I don't know. Actually, I was going to say cooler than a normal Thunderbird, but I'm not sure. I think I'd really need to see one in person. I was pretty jazzed on them for lack of a better word, jazzed on them when they first announced them. I thought they looked pretty cool. But yeah, I guess it's just kind of standard Thunderbird tones, which can be fairly limiting. But what it does so well. So no doubt there.
Yeah, either you really love it or you can do without it.
Yeah.
I have a controversial statement that I feel I need to make while I have this platform.
Oh God, brace yourselves.
I don't like SG basses.
Oh my God. I agree. I agree. Yeah, no, they're not for me at all. Like, looks wise, I love an SG guitar.
It looks the part. I just can't get I just can't get with it, man. I just can't.
They're so limited in their range, and that the sound that they have, I just don't like.
It's not usable. Even if I slap it.
Yeah, it doesn't have that like nice thump. I don't know. It's hard to explain with those. They're just a bit dead sounding to me. And you think like, oh, I've paid, thousands for this Gibson SG, and it just sounds like a bit of a turd.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that we came together on this.
You were like, oh, there's going to be some sparks flying.
Yeah, I mean, I fancy myself a funk player, and you're in the rock realm. So I feel like Gibson anything is kind of grail. It's kind of holy grail to a rock player. That's what I felt.
Yeah. So, I've never owned a Gibson or anything like that though. And I'm just not totally sold on them. I quite like a bright, bit of a scooped mid kind of bass boost, treble boost, lots of presence, that kind of thing. And the Gibson and Epiphone models never really get me.
They handle the vintage thing though. They do.
Absolutely.
That study situation where it's just a note, just one note pedaled over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice and rounded, like it's nice and full, but not
usable.
It doesn't give me the tone that I want to do. So now we've lost a lot of potential endorsements with lots of companies in this episode so far. So let's move on then to the second question.
Let's recoup some of that potential money.
I'm gonna have to make up some questions that are like, tell me what you love about this company.
Oh, Jonny, do you have the time? Let me tell you.
What I love about SGs.
Phenomenal doorstops. Great doorstops.
Used one to cook a pizza in the oven the other day.
And you should have seen it. It slid right on out the back. It was great. Just slid it into the oven, pulled out that pie.
Not very heat resistant, but
it gave a woodsy, earthy tone to the crust.
Took the words from my mouth. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this question comes from Owen4602. That's the 4,602nd Owen in the world on YouTube. And he says, favorite basses you've played on the channel. Now, of course, when I asked this question, he's kind of directed it to me, but you have a YouTube channel, of course. Favorite places you played on the channel. So I'm going to take this as ones that we don't necessarily own.
That's exactly where I'm taking. That's what I'm taking. Because I have two in my head. Well, I have three in my head. Just rapid fire. There you go. So two come from Lobster. The third one comes from a friend in Tulsa. Lobster had a ESP LTD. It was a seafoam green.
Yes.
The slap tone on that thing. I wanted to keep it. He didn't want to. He was like, no, send it back. I was like,
it's mine. No. I need it.
That's one of them. The second one is the Headless Ibanez that I told you about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Loved how light that was. The only problem I had was I had a stand that clamped at the top. It like clamped the headstock and hung free. If you don't have a headstock,
tried hanging that one up.
Yeah. So I was like, I have to have like a tripod, like something, and I couldn't gig with it because I didn't have it on hand. And then the third one is also an Ibanez. It's an Ibanez 550. It's in my intro. It's the natural wood with the looks like it has stripes in it. I think it's a 550 or a 650. It looks the part and it felt great. And I had to do I think I swapped the preamp in it. Like I swapped the preamp out for something else. And then I got to play it. I was like, I can take one of these. So those are my three. What about you?
Well, that's a great three, and that ESP, I've been eyeing one of those up for so long. They've released it in like a buttercream color now.
I did see that. I did see that. They actually have a 5-string version of it, and I was like, I don't need you.
It's not about needing; it's about wanting.
And that's how this happens. That's how this happens. I don't need you, but I also don't want anybody else slapping you. You need to get a present from me.
He applies that to multiple things in his life. Wow, yeah. Well, I mean, that's great. Great three choices. My favorite basses I've played on the channel. I'm going to go with two that I feel like are the ones that got away, like ones that I kind of regret getting rid of, because they're the ones that have left an imprint in my mind. For me, it's the first one is the SXP Bass. Super affordable, but built like a tank. That thing was awesome. I know Rumbling Man likes his SX basses as well. That's where I first found the company, actually, and through his videos. Yeah. He was doing some comparisons of them, and then I was like, oh yeah, actually I've seen that brand around, and they're in a lot of like little music shops around the UK, and they're awesome, man.
Actually, this one is a SX.
It's got the old shaped headstock on it, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at two of them right now.
Yeah, they're cool basses. I was really impressed with that one, and
especially for the money.
Yeah, and the finish that was on, the blue one I had was unreal, and I got that for like £100. Madness, absolute madness, crimes it was, and so I really regret getting rid of that. It was just right, sell it on, get the next thing in. You know, that was my mentality at the time. But they would have made it a fantastic mod project. So yeah, kind of gutted I got rid of that one. The other one is actually another really affordable bass, and I think you've got it, is the Harley Benton PB50.
Ooh, that's that one.
Yeah, it's that red one. I love that bass. I thought it's good. Awesome. Yeah.
It's a good time. I got a project that I'm going to be doing on it, changing out the bridge. We can talk about this from now. There's a company called Ray Ross Bridges, and they're different in that they don't use saddles on their bridges.
Oh?
Take a second. There's no saddle, so there's no bend angle from the ball on the end going to the tuning. What's the purpose of the saddle?
Well, yeah, I guess so. How do they set it up and raise it and low? I suppose they just do that on
so they
on the bridge.
You use your phone, RAYROSS. You just gotta see it. So they have it's kind of like, you know how Music Man has you put in a shim in the Allen key to do the truss rod at the base of the neck.
Yeah.
Imagine that to send the whole holder, I guess, in the bridge, to send it forward and send it back. And then there's another one underneath it that spins around this way, like left to right, that raises it up and lowers it down.
Ah, you're blowing my mind right now. That's so cool.
Listen, if Lobster pulled it out on his stream, or it could be.
He didn't pull it out on his stream. Bloody hell!
He didn't. He pulled out the bridge.
Oh.
On his Jesus, man. My mother might listen to this.
Family-friendly content.
But yeah, it's an interesting design, and I'm actually gonna be getting one of those or two of those and kind of seeing what it does. I think I'm gonna put it in the Seafoam Green Allen Eden bass that I have, and I'm probably gonna do it in the PB50 just to see what it does.
That's really cool. Yeah. Oh, I love hearing stuff like that, like little innovations that just push things. They're like, what about this? Push things out a bit more.
Yeah, it's wild because I wondered that question. I was like, what is the purpose of a sound? What is it doing?
Yeah. And it's just one of those things it's just a design that you think, that's how it's meant to be. That's how it's always been. It hasn't changed in, since the P bass.
But why?
yeah, that's it. I guess it's one of those things. It's like, well, if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. But then it's like, well, it could be better though.
Yeah. So they just redistributed all the metal to go from that bridge or where it's holding in those pieces to go to the base of the actual bridge. So it's like extremely solid, heavy mass. I'm excited. I don't know when it's going to get here, but it's going to get here very soon.
Well, I'd love to hear the sound comparison of what that does as well, because obviously it sounded like it's quite a high mass thing. I'm sure that's going to have an impact on the sustain.
I hope so, but just from an aesthetic standpoint, it should look the part. It should look cool, but it's going to be drilled out for a Fender. So if you're watching this and you want to check them out, understand the drill pattern is going to be for a Fender bass. And that's with the 4-string. I don't know about the 5 yet.
Luckily, a lot of companies copy Fender, so I'm sure they could. It'll work for most people. That sounds so cool. Awesome. Well, let's move on, shall we, to the next segment. Okay, so this section is called That Tone You Own. So leading up to this podcast, I asked Bully to record a bass line for me, and I thought we could just have a listen to that in just a second and then talk about the tone, how it was made, what elements, what bits of equipment we use, what it's for, etc., etc., etc. Let's have a listen to it now. Obviously, that you said your 3 words to describe it is funky. You said it was happy. You said it was percussive. And I'm getting all of that from just that one bass line there. It sounds so good. And that is such a great and really punchy slap tone that you've got there. So let's start with the bass on that one. What bass are you using for that? I'm going to guess it's your SIG.
Yeah, that's my signature. I have it rolled. So if center detent is both pickups on, the P pickup and the Music Man, I have it rolled towards the Music Man with just a little bit more bite, right? And that was with a fresh set of strings, obviously. And I think my EQing, I have a 4-band EQ on my bass. So I think the bass I'll go from 0 to 10 and to kind of give you the numbers. So I think the bass was set on 7. Low mid was set on 6. High mid was set on 4 or 3. And then treble was set on 7 or 8. I didn't max it out, but so it's doing that little scoop shape, kind of.
That's like my ideal EQ setting. I think that's the one I always gravitate towards. Like if I've got a low and high mid control, I'll always boost the lows a little bit and then scoop the mids, because that's where you get that really nice
the string noise, the whooshing string noise as you sliding through. So
yeah, man. Well, it sounds awesome, and and I can hear that EQ coming through. Is that through the Fender as well?
Yes, amp is. I think the amp I was using was a 300 clean, and I had that one. Everything's dimed at 12 o'clock, so all my manipulation was coming from the bass. Gain was probably around 11 o'clock or so on the dial. So it wasn't any characteristic other than the amp modeling itself and the horn being on. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
I usually don't mess with the amp EQ if I can help it.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can get a bit overboard with EQ, can't you? If there's too much going on, you're like, right, is it right? If on the amp I turn down the treble or up the treble, I'll test that A/B that with the bass, turning that up and down if you've got an active bass, like you get into that territory. So having a great sounding amp that you can just have all flat or whatever, all 12 o'clock, then that's a great starting point, isn't it?
Yeah. So generally, this is just a rule of thumb, which the background of what rule of thumb came from is disturbing, but I'll use it because it still works. So what I normally do is if I have an active bass, I leave my amp alone completely. But if I have a passive bass or a passive P bass, that's when all the coloring manipulation on the amp comes in.
Yeah, 100%. That it makes so much sense because otherwise it's just a bit of overload and you don't know what to do and you're like, spending so much time doing it. That's why I had a Sire M7. I've spoken about it a few times, but I found it too much at one point because there was so many knobs and switches on there, and then I had my preamp on my pedal board, and then I had my amp as well, and I was like,
Yeah, but you can make it passive though, right?
Yeah, I know, but I just loved the sound of it, and I loved the active sound, and I was like, I wanted for the active circuit.
Okay.
But then
you still have it?
Yeah, no, not anymore. It was years ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I wish I did still have it because now I feel like I've got a better grip of that kind of thing. And now, actually, for a lot of my basses, I'm not using my preamp much anymore on my board. I tend to be using more stuff on just the amp and the bass. But like you say, if it's like a passive bass, then you just kind of let the amp or the preamp do more of the action as the other way around. But let's go back to your tone on that one. So is this taken from something in particular, or is it just something you wrote?
Just got into a slapping mood, and I was just doing it for watching. I was watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I was like,
yes.
I was like, Roundabout came on, and I was like,
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Roundabout. That is a killer combination. Just utter weirdness.
Yeah, it came on, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and restring this. So I watched the episode, restrung the bass, and then I started going, and it just started happening. So I was like, yeah, camera on.
I can really hear the JoJo, just coming through in that tone. The inspiration was there. Yeah, it sounds really cool though. And considering you're just like, I'm just going to write this for just a slap piece. It's not from anything. Sounds awesome. Let's move on. We've delved into the tone of that one there. Let's move on to the next segment. So the last question we have here, which is going to form the big bass debate for this episode. This question comes from, I'm really sorry, I'm going to butcher your name. I might just start doing it on purpose because I'm going to offend someone. It comes from Aradhya Karana on YouTube, who says, what are some popular bass trends that you're not actually into? Another fantastic question. So bass trends, there's a lot going on. We're kind of at the minute, short scales. Now we're maybe going into medium scales. There's, all kinds of different trends. Headless basses happening, all sorts of things happening at the minute. It's exciting times, and these things come and go. Bully, what bass trends are you not into? What are you not digging?
I'm going to say the bass accessories.
Oh.
So, about to lose some endorsements, baby, but this is Bully's opinion.
Hot takes.
So, back in the 70s, they used to take a sponge and put it at the bridge to get a thuddy, muted sound, right? Yeah. So, bring that forward. Now there's two devices that serve the same purpose. They're put out by the same company. I don't have any problem with the company. Genius devices if it works for people. My only, and I'm going to get to the names, my only concern is with doing that, you're kind of handicapping the musician for getting a good handle on his playing technique. So if you're muting all the dead strings, you kind of need to have this contraption on. So it's actually put out by Groove Gear,
I know the ones.
and it's the fret wrap. So the thing that they put at the headstock to stop all the other strings from ringing out. And then the second one is called the Funk, and that one works like the sponge that I just described earlier. And it does the same thing, mute strings that aren't being used, and kind of makes it staccato type of thing. And it kind of, I see a lot of Instagram bass players with it on, and I'm like, you're talented. You're talented enough to not be lazy. Just
that is
it's
a great point, because if you're starting out and you're seeing these people use these things, you shouldn't really be looking for these aids to cheat your way into getting good, like. So I've got some fret wraps, and I've got one that lives on my guitar. It is that thing; it kind of hinders you improving and then not needing it, because if you're just relying on it, you become reliant on it, and then you think when you take it away, you've lost your crutch. Then and you're going to fall over. Certainly for beginners, I think you shouldn't be relying on those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I got sent a couple of free fret wraps from Velton. I've got one on my jazz bass at the minute, but I never use them. So I never use them like actually on the fretboard, or like to do any kind of like muting stuff that they would be for. I just have them sitting at the top, and sometimes used to see it all the time when bands are recording. They've got somebody with like a handkerchief, or like they're holding the top of the guitar to stop some string noise from like above the first fret, and then it's just sitting there. So sometimes I'll just do that.
If you're about to go into a solo and you purposely do slide, then that's what I'm talking about. But you using it for something actually practical, which is actually making the headstock heavier, which causes it to dive, which brings me back to the part where you shouldn't have it on there.
Hey, I'm actually doing weights with it. It's making it heavier, so I'm lifting it up, training my arm.
I get it.
That's I wasn't expecting you to bring this angle. It's really interesting, but I definitely agree that you shouldn't be using these things that are actually they're aiding you, but it's only a short term aid, really. In the long run, you don't want to become reliant on those type of things. So my trends that I'm not really into. This one, I suppose it's not really a trend, but it is something that I'm seeing increasingly now, and I think more and more people are doing it. And I've never been I've never really enjoyed it that much. And it's the reverse P bass pickup. I don't know why I'm doing things with my hands. No one can see me. Maybe one day we'll do like some video stuff so that my actions aren't in vain. But normally you've got the pick in a split P bass pickup. You've got the one closer to the neck for the E and the A, and then the D and G one is closer towards the bridge. Now, swapping those around, it means you get a fuller sound on those higher strings and maybe a brighter sound on the lower ones. And it's meant to be a more even sound. Scientifically, I'm totally on board, because I find like the E string can sometimes be a lot boomier, and that can kind of help to tackle that a bit. But I've not yet had an experience where I have enjoyed the sound more compared to a standard P bass pickup. Okay. What's your take on it?
Okay, so my I haven't played one yet, but I do have some questions, because Thoman Music, they have Harley Benton as a brand, and Harley Benton has a 5-string P humbucker type situation in natural and late placid blue. Lobster played it. He hurt my feelings and said that it wasn't exactly a great experience. Broke my heart. But it was a reverse P. And my question is, you know how the P pickup is in the sweet spot, like it's in that spot for its winding. My question is, so when, again, they can't see my hands. So you have the pickup that's in the EA, which is generally in front of the bottom pickup, which is DG, do they swap the exact placement, or do they just take it and move it in front and keep the original position of the EA?
Ooh, I suppose it changes per bass, or I would have thought it's
It's
designed
gonna
in a way that.
Okay, so that sweet spot is there because it's catching the specific vibrations of the string. So I would think if you're going to swap where it's oriented, you'd have to move it over so that you're catching the optimum vibration. But I haven't been in a situation where it's a reverse P and it's in the same spot. Now I got Goldar over there and it's a 5 string and it is 3 Ps, but like they're at different spots on the string. So it's a whole
That's a whole nother world.
that's a whole nother beast there. That's
Because on that one, forgive me for not remembering. Are they the normal way round, or are they the other way round?
It didn't even occur to me to try to flip it around, try to be cute. What I was thinking about was I wanted to get kind of the both worlds between jazz and P, right? So I have a situation to where the P pickups are in the jazz position, where it would normally be located on the 5 string, like 70s 5 string bass, right? I know that's an oxymoron because it wasn't. That's besides the point. So
Close to the bridge.
yeah, it's. I wanted it to be about in that spacing, but I also wanted a natural P to be in the sweet spot. So I put the P in the sweet spot, and then built down.
Sorry, you what?
I put doggone it, Dibble. I put the P pickup in the optimum. Shizzle. Now I can't stop it. I'm sorry, Mom, if you were listening to this. Anyway, so it was aligned in the correct area. I can't even describe what the bass is now. 3 Ps on the
3 Ps. Go well. Let's just get everyone here now to hit pause and head over to Bully's channel and Instagram, where you can see this beauty for a lot in the flesh. You know, it's an awesome looking thing. Oh no! How has this descended into this? I know why. It's because I'm involved.
I got lightheaded.
So yeah, I think why don't we finish it off there then? That seems like a great place to stop, right? Like stop before we get into any more trouble.
I know, right? It only gets worse.
Should have heard the conversation before we started. Absolute filth it was.
Oh, garbage men, what we are. Straight
into the bloody bin. Cool. So that concludes this week's podcast. Bit of a longer one, I think. Yes, that is what she said. And so thank you so much for all sticking with us, and I hope you really enjoyed this conversation. I know I've had a fantastic time. Bully, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime you want to come back on, then you can come back on. That's fine, because that's the beauty of this, is that because it's not a guest, it's co-hosts, we can have you back on. So let me know in the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you're listening to us. Get in touch with me, maybe on Instagram at Jonny Dibble, and let me know what you think. If you want to have Bully back on, of course you do. Let us know what you thought. And if you've got any questions, then just pop them in the comments section or wherever you want to. Bully, where can they find you?
Instagram, YouTube. Instagram is bully_Thakidd. That's BULLY _THAKIDD. And YouTube, same spelling, just no underscore.
Amazing. Smashing. Yep. Absolutely. Go and check it all out. It's all fantastic stuff. Loads of bass content that I know you're all going to love. I certainly do. And yeah, thank you once again. And thank you to everyone at home for watching. See you next time.
See you.